Case 8. Keichu makes cards. Koan. Master Gettan said to a monk, Keichu made a cart whose wheels had 100 spokes. Take both front and rear parts away and remove the axle. Then what will it be? Mumon's commentary: if you can immediately see through this, your eye will be like a shooting star and your spirituality like lightning. Mumon's poem: when the vividly working wheel turns, even an expert is lost. 4 directions, above and below, south, north, east, and west. Here we have Tanshu Dai San Sekka Osho, who is in the Dharma lineage the grandchild of Engo Kokugon Zenji, who edited the Blue Cliff Records, and seen from the position of Mumon Ekai Osho, who again edited the Mumonkan, he was the grandfather in Dharma. Gettan Osho is bringing up a story which is 4,000 years old. It was from that time where Keichu, the famous card maker, made 100 cards a year for people. For this, he took apart used cards and then assembled them again. He was always thinking about this work. So Gettan Osho here is taking this old story and looking at it from the eye of Zen. So he has already finished cards. Then he takes them apart. What was he searching for? Gettan Osho drew a circle in the air with his staff. While drawing the circle, he says, "Don't stop here, don't get fooled by this." Gettan Osho was talking about the cards of old. What did he want everyone to realize? What did he want to say? There are books of the old China describing life at that time. There it says that 2,000 years ago, Kote lived, who invented carts. At that time, the carts were used to transport. They were usually 2-wheeled. And then later on, Shoku appeared, who would invent a certain cart that was being pulled by an ox. Even now, you can see these kind of carts being pulled by an ox in India. They carry heavy luggage, they plow the fields. 4,000 years ago, in the era of Wu, instead of a cart being pulled by an ox, they were also pulled by horses. And this could also then be found in the history of Europe, where these kind of 2-wheeled carts were used in warfare. 5,000 years ago, it is said that at the time of Kote, the first carts were invented. They were the type of a wheelbarrow. They had just one wheel, the type that we still use nowadays to carry heavy luggage. Humans, instead of having to carry this heavy luggage themselves, could put them in the wheelbarrow. But then the even heavier things needed to be transported, and for that, carts with 2 wheels were built. Yet here the strength of humans was not sufficient any longer, so an ox was used to pull these kind of carts. That was in the era of Wu. Keichu had his carts pulled by horses. And this is the story which Gettan Osho brings up here. Keichu had his carts pulled by horses, yet he would constantly take them apart and assemble them again. What was he thinking? This is what Gettan Osho is asking the assembly. He is giving the hint by drawing a circle with his staff in the air and says, "Don't get caught on this." And he went down the high seat. So why did Gettan Osho bring up the story of old? What did he want to teach by talking about this story? 4,000 years ago, Keichu had his carts pulled by horses. Yet what was he thinking that he took his carts apart and assembled them again? Gettan Osho drew a circle in the air, and why did he do this? Gettan Osho is using this as a guiding tool to bring his students to awakening. There is this teaching of old in China, which put in simple words says that a bicycle has a tire, and around that metal wheel is a rubber tire. Inside that metal wheel are spokes which all point to the center, to the axis. Yet that wheel is only able to turn lightly and well if there is some space between the axle and the wheel. Nowadays bearing is being inserted here, and that is why the wheels move so well. Yet what is central is that space around the axle so that the wheel can turn well. Everyone gets so fooled by the form of the bicycle, yet that space around the axle is central. The bicycle has a form, yet that space lets the wheel turn. That space is the life of the bicycle. Taking clay to make a vase, a pot, all types of vessels, then a form appears, yet there is no meaning in that form. The space of that vessel is what is central, or else you cannot put water into the vessel. The space is the life of the vessel. You can build a house, yet what is central here are the doors, the windows, the space inside, for us to enter into the house, to let air in. So if you have a house, that space, the windows, the doors, are the life of the house. We search for nice things, yet that space gives things meaning. You may just conceptually perceive things as form, but that is a mistake. It is true for a vessel, for a bicycle, for a house. All things depend upon space, or else they become useless. In Hamburg, there is the Elbe River. Yet this river does not exist. You cannot say that the sides of the shore of the river is the river, is it? The river itself flows, so you cannot say that that is the river either. So what is the Elbe River? You cannot call that water either a river. It is just a concept to call something a river. We need to understand that we are living by these kind of concepts which are of no meaning. Humans have a body which is made up of 96 elements. Our body is a combination of these elements, yet still we call this self, I, me. But they are only elements. They don't even belong to us. The trees, the mountains, the rivers, they all are a combination of elements. Yet we then get attached to these phenomena, which we are while we are alive. We are this body, we are these 96 elements, but when we die, we may get buried, we may get burned, and then the elements simply return to their source. Why don't we see this, that the attachment to that of form is so meaningless? To go on about saying he is right, he is wrong, why do we keep looking at things from the point of concepts only? The same was true for Keichu. What was he looking for by taking those cards apart? As it says in the Heart Sutra, emptiness is form and form is emptiness. All 5 skandhas are empty. The 5 skandhas of the body, the sense perception, our judgment, our motivation, our memories and experiences, they are all just assembled elements. Still, we add on emotion and we doubt and suffer and confuse ourselves, even while they are only combinations of elements. Gettan Osho is pointing this out here. Keichu is rebuilding his cards. What did he want to attain? He drew a circle in the air and said, that is a big mistake. Everyone, when you were a child, maybe you took your watch apart, maybe you took your radio apart, but you did this from some joy, from some inner interest, not to understand space. A doctor will cut open a corpse to study about a human body, but this is not to understand emptiness. A child took that useful radio apart to learn and joy about that radio. Keichu as well, he did not want to understand emptiness by taking his cards apart, but he wanted to understand how do these cards function. So he was studying those with 1 wheel, 2 wheels, 3 wheels. You could even extend this and say that even the cars, the trains, the buses, the ferries, even airplanes, they all need to be taken apart and studied. So why did Keichu take apart his cards? Simply to study the law of vehicles, so that he could build an even better one. What was Gettan Osho trying to teach us by bringing up this old story? The people in the past, the people who are alive now, the people in the future, children, adults, in Europe, in Asia, in all eras, in different cultures. We need to go beyond all these outer forms and then realize that those 7.7 billion people on this planet, even those who already have died, those who are not born yet, all of them have that same base, that truth that applies to us all. And for awakening to this, that is why we're doing this Osashin. During Zazen, we can awaken to this mind. That is why Gettan Osho drew a circle in the air. Even a piece of paper has weight. Anything of form has weight. Yet humans can go beyond this law of weight by not getting caught on their body, forgetting the body, forgetting the zendo. One piece of paper may have weight, yet humans' weight can disappear. That is Zazen. And that is why Gettan Osho drew a circle to say, don't get stopped on the 5 skandhas. That is the experience of Samadhi. Samadhi is forgetting weight. That is so important for a sports person who makes all kinds of training and specific efforts so that he has less weight while doing the sports. Playing the piano, playing the violin, again, you need to forget that weight of the body, and only then from empty mind can you say that it was good music. You all in your very particular situations in your life are making those efforts to forget the heavy body, forget the heavy luggage in your mind. That is the practice of Zazen. All humans need to experience this mind, need to open this eye of their mind. From there, how could we start a war and kill each other? That is what Gettan Osho is saying here. The Heart Sutra says, all 5 skandhas are empty, but this is just a teaching on the path. It is not the goal. It helps us to understand the goal. Emptiness is a tool for us to reach the purpose, but the teaching of Buddhism is that wisdom, that we can again trust one another, and that is human's purpose. The Buddha said, all places in this world are my home, all people are my children. These are the famous words in the Dhammapada. All places are my home, all people living here are my children. That is human's truth. And to realize this, for that we sit Zazen. There is nothing but this we need to realize. We are not separated from the world. That is our Zazen. That is the wisdom we can awaken to in our practice of Zazen. And then we cannot stop but love all existence. This wisdom and compassion is human's source. Each of us needs to awaken to this. We all are using our precious time for the session in our Zazen to realize this. And that is what the ancients are teaching us. The Buddha said, make efforts and open your mind's eye, and from there all truth is apparent. Gettan Osho is saying here, everyone awaken to this truth and bring forth true motivation for your life in society so that you can create a peaceful world. One day, Nangaku Osho found an injured deer in the mountains. Just a moment later, the hunter came running after the deer and said, "Oh, that's mine." Nangaku Osho said to him, "The Buddha taught that all beings have Buddha nature. It would be better not to kill this deer." And the hunter said, "So I also have Buddha nature? Where then can I find it?" And here he gave a poem which says, "A sakura tree in the winter does not seem like it will bring forth blossoms, but then it blossoms. When we look at a tree, it does not look like there are any flowers. How could a tree possibly bring forth those flowers? And then when spring comes, it is full of cherry blossoms." For us to intuitively realize this truth, that is what our path as humans has been all about. Mumon Osho says here that Gettan Osho brought up this story of Keichu to show us that we need to return to this wisdom that anyone can develop. A well-developed doctor will know the sickness of the patient just by looking at the patient's face, just by feeling that pulse. A well-developed mechanic will know the problem of a car just by hearing the sound of it driving, just by seeing how it is driving. He doesn't need to take that car apart. That is what humans' wisdom is all about. We need to see it in our eyes, feel it in our ears, in our nose, directly through our body, feel it in our hands and feet. That is the only place where we can encounter truth. Our ability appears in that seeing, hearing, sensing, and the walking in the creation. That is our truth. It can only be found in each instant. In our daily life, we need to live from it. In our daily life, to not be confused by concepts which we add onto that experience. And for this, we do Zazen to again make our mind simple. The purpose is not to sit Zazen. It is only necessary so that again we can live our daily life from this bright, shining mind. And that is the reason why we all have gathered for this O-session. The point of the koan is that we humans may again experience this wide and expansive state of mind. And only once you have reached this experience can you see through this koan.